Electing a health and safety representative, a HSR, their requirements, role, and responsibility. So, under the Work Health and Safety Act 2011, a health and safety representative may be elected by workers to support and monitor health and safety within a specific workplace. An elected HSR is assigned a number of powers in their work to aid in supporting WHS within the workplace, outranking even the PCBU in relation to WHS matters, okay, within the actual working environment. So what we're going to look at here is a number of their responsibilities of the HSR once they've been elected within a workplace. So what we've got is they're allowed to investigate the concerns of staff related WHS matters. If a staff member is concerned about something and they want something done about it or just some guidance, you look for the HSR as probably one of your first points of call. They monitor the management of WHS taken by the workplace's PCBU. So when strategies are implemented, it is the HSR who kind of overlook them and see that the actual strategies are being conveyed to staff and that consultation as participation is taking place. And essentially, if things aren't happening, well, then we move on from there. So thus with the next point, they will consult with Safe Work New South Wales when necessary. So this might be to get guidance themselves in order to better provide help for the workplace, or it could be that the actual PCBU themselves isn't doing enough in the workplace, and thus they might actually go to that avenue of safe work as well for support in that area. Okay, but really it's hopefully just to guide the HSR in what they can do as their next level. And as you know, Safe Work New South Wales is kind of that first point of call outside the organisation in order to help out with health and safety within workplaces. If things are going downhill a bit, stop work within the specific workplace area can happen at the command of the HSR. If they see an environment is dangerous or there is a possible risk happening to employees by working in that environment, they can shut down certain areas of the environment, okay, and distribute what's known as PINs, provisional improvement notices, okay, to the PCBU saying this area needs to be improved before things can go forward. All right. And then finally, they need to keep up to date with WHS policy, practice, and training. So, ongoing training, keeping them up to date because rules, legislation, policy procedures, codes of conduct, all of that changes periodically. Okay. And thus, the HSR needs to continually be trained in what's going on so they know the best knowledge there is about safety. And then they can bring that knowledge back to their workplace and consult that with the PCBU and pass that on to all the workers in the organization through updated strategies. So, as you can see, the HSR is a very important role. Another important part of this, though, is actually electing the HSR. Okay, based on the WHS Act, an individual who works within any workplace can go up to the PCBU and request the employer conduct an election for one or more HSRs to actually represent the workers within the workplace in relation to safety matters. Okay, so the worker can't say, I want to be the HSR. They can go to the PCBU and say, we need to elect a HSR or multiple. All right, and that is so that someone is there specialized in health and safety and obviously has the time and the powers, which we're talking about here, to support it in the workplace. So, in relation to election, the following factors take place. Okay, a nominee must work for the organization. Okay, they've got to be actually a worker on site. Okay, then carry no previous records that may disqualify them from safety duties, and that might be that they are an unsafe worker. So there has to be some rules in place about who can be nominated, and they would have to look at an employee's track record there. The workers in a work group, the organisation, may determine how the election of the health and safety representative would take place. What mediums would they use? Will it be some sort of physical ballot or an online kind of vote? That can be determined by them. The election may be conducted with the assistance of their union or some sort of external organization. That may be done so there is an independent body kind of acting there to ensure that there is no connections within the workplaces and elections can't be rigged. So they might bring them in as a third party to help kind of support that and make sure that it is a truly independent vote. Okay, and then once tallied, that it really is the person who got the highest vote will get that job. The PCBU must also provide resources, facilities, and assistance that are reasonable for the election. Okay, so if they need a room for this election to take place and they might need paperwork to help do that in a ballot box, okay, the PCBU might have to provide that stuff so that this person can be hired within the workplace or elected within the workplace. Okay, and the final point, all workers in an organization are entitled to vote for the election of a HSR. So everyone gets a say. So that includes all managers, the PCBU themselves. All their votes count as one, but everyone has the right to vote in the election of the HSR for the organization. Essentially, once elected, a health and safety representative will hold office for 3 years unless they resign from duty or conduct any behavior that might disqualify them. But essentially, it's a 3-year gig, and then elections may take place again there. So I hope this video has given you an update on kind of what is a HSR, okay, a health and safety representative. Their roles in the workplace, how they kind of oversee health and safety in the workplace, and they are granted powers that enable them to act, get trained in, and even enforce, okay, safety and changes related to safety within the workplace, and the election process behind it. Essentially, that the HSR needs to be elected by their peers because they're the one that's going to represent them essentially. Okay, so they do a ballot. They may bring in other parties to make sure independence takes place during this ballot. Okay, and then they'll hold on to that job for 3 years.